Hello everyone. Even though I can't be there with you today, I found a way to still be there with you today. So we're going to take up the practice test using the video format, and I'm going to go through the questions with you step by step and make sure that everybody has full solutions and all the steps for every single question on the practice test. Remember how we talked about this last week, and I told you that the real test is going to be exactly like this practice test, and I want you to practice the right answers over and over again for these same questions and get really, really good at doing these questions and making sure that you have this in your long-term memory. So that's what today is all about. I'm going to put full solutions up for you through the videos, and I'd like for you to practice it, and we'll have another practice day tomorrow in class, and we'll be doing some other practice materials then. So let's get started. The first question says 6 to the exponent 4. So we're testing there whether or not you know that that means 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. And using your calculator, you can multiply 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. And that equals 1,296. All right, moving on to the next question. We have a fraction, 1 over 2, to the exponent 3. So when you have that fraction and the numerator and the denominator are both in the bracket, that means that the numerator and the denominator have an exponent of 3. That means 1 times 1 times 1 on the top, and 2 times 2 times 2 on the bottom. That means 1 over 8 for our final answer. And question 3 is testing to see if you remember the rule that we use for exponents when we have a power already. Here's the power 3 squared, and then we put another exponent on it, the exponent 4 here. Now if you remember that rule, we keep the base the same, and brackets mean multiply, so we take 2 times 4, and our new exponent is 3 to the exponent 8. I don't expect you to work out 3 to the exponent 8. That's getting a little bit on the big side in terms of numbers, and it's just kind of a waste of time to multiply that all out, so you can leave that as 3 to the 8, okay? If we look at question 4, I want you to write that in exponential form. You notice we have the same number, 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. So the base of our exponent is going to be 5, and there are 6 of those 5's being multiplied, and so our exponent is 6. And in question 5, we're going to group like terms together. I'm going to draw some circles and squares again because you know how much I love circles and squares. So I'm going to put a circle around the y terms, and then I'm going to put a square around the x terms. And when I put all that together, I have minus 3y minus 6y plus 5x plus 8x. And don't forget to put your equal sign on the left side of your answer. If we add up our like terms, we have 3 negative y's and 6 more negative y's. Altogether, we have 9 negative y's. If we add up our x terms, we have 5 x's and 8 more x's, so we have 13 x's. So take a minute now, have a look at those questions on your practice test if you had a chance to try them, and make sure that you have all the right answers. If you have any blanks on your page, can you please make sure you have all the steps and all of the answers written down on your practice test now. For the matching question, I've got the answers filled in for you in the blanks, and I think in the interest of time for our video that it would be better if we wait and talk about these when I come back tomorrow. So for now, can you please make sure that you have all of the correct answers in each of the blanks. Read those over and try to decide why those are the correct answers. And if you have questions, we'll talk about those some more tomorrow. Part B of our test is labeled communication. You may not be used to answering communication type questions on a math test before, but in grade 9, each test will have a section like this. What I'm looking for in this section is for you to be able to explain using diagrams, examples, or words the concept that we're asking about. So in the case of question 1, it says, give an example of a trinomial with a degree of 5. So what I'm looking for there is to see that you understand what a polynomial with a degree of 5 is, and also whether or not you can explain it really well. And so when you're thinking about how to explain it, I don't want you to think, well, I'm writing to the teacher and she understands. I want you to think that maybe you're explaining it to a younger brother or sister who's in grade 8, someone who has almost as much knowledge in math as you do, but hasn't learned this last unit of math that we've learned together. And you're explaining it to them for the first time and want to make them understand. That's what I'm looking for. So each of these questions is worth about 2 marks each, and I'm looking for a really good explanation and an example, like in question 1, if it says give an example of a trinomial with a degree of 5, one example would be 2x to the 5, and I need to make it a trinomial, so I need 2 more terms, so let's put 4y plus 14. That's a trinomial, and the highest degree of the exponent of the variable on x is 5 there, so that's the degree of our expression, okay? For number 2, I just am asking you there to give me an example of 2 like terms, so you can write down anything you want there. So that could be 4x and 5x. It could be 2y and 3y. It could be whatever you want, as long as those variables are identical. Like terms, we should be able to add together. If we saw them in a polynomial being added, we should be able to make them into one term only. And 2 unlike terms, you can choose anything you want again there. I could choose 10y and negative 3x. Those are not like terms. So anything that can't be combined and simplified would be an unlike term. The last part of our video, I will do question 1, A, B, and C from part C. These questions, you need to show all of your work, and you need to use proper mathematical form. Each of these questions will be worth more than 1 mark. So even if you don't have the right answer, you can still get part marks on your solution as long as you've shown all of your steps. So for the first question, for 1a, we have negative 4 times 2x minus 5, and that's a rainbow. So we're going to distribute the minus 4 into our bracket and make the rainbow, which means that we're going to multiply negative 4 times 2x, which is negative 8x, and then we're going to multiply negative 4 times negative 5, which is positive 20. Now these terms are not like terms. You can't add them together, so our answer is going to be in the form of a binomial, and we can't simplify it any further than that. For question B, we have 2m, and then we have 5 bracket m minus 2. That's a rainbow. So you can go ahead and draw your arrows as soon as you notice that. And then we have minus 3m plus 3. We're going to deal with that in a minute. Let's do our rainbow first. 5 times m is 5m, and 5 times minus 2 is minus 10. Now, if we want to get rid of the bracket in that last binomial term, Remember the rule, when we have a negative in front of the bracket, it's going to change the sign for everything in the bracket. You promised me on Friday that you would remember that. So everybody remember that a negative in front of the bracket changes the sign for everything in the bracket. Now I can group together my like terms. And add them up. 2m plus 5m minus 3m, that makes 4m. Negative 10, so I have 10 negatives, and 3 more negatives. Altogether, I have 10 negative guys, 3 negative guys, altogether 13 negative guys. So I end up with a binomial answer from what looked like a pretty complicated polynomial when we started out. For question C, I'm just going to work down at the bottom here so that we don't get confused with the other answers, and I'm going to write in a different color. For question C, we have a rainbow again because we have 3x being distributed into the trinomial bracket. 3x times x squared, 3x times 5x, and 3x times 2. That gives us 3x to the exponent 3. Remember, we're adding the exponents, and there's really a 1 on that x that they didn't write. Then we have 3x times 5x, which is 15x squared. Then we have 3x times positive 2, which is 6x. You notice that none of these terms are like terms. We can't add them together. We can't simplify this answer anymore, so our answer is going to be a polynomial, which is a trinomial this time. That's enough for this video. Please take a few minutes. Make sure you have all of these steps written down on your practice test and that you understand where the answers came from. When you're ready, ask the teacher to show you the next video, and we'll complete the rest of Part C together.